Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and I'm going to show you my arm workout along with some other tips I have with bodybuilding training on the ketogenic diet. So basically, even if you don't do low carb eating or keto dieting, you're still going to learn a lot of bodybuilding principles in this video, and overall, you'll still see that a ketogenic diet is great for performance, and you can still perform great in the gym when you're not eating carbohydrates. So I've said and kept on saying that I'm going to make more vlog style videos, and I think that's a great way to document what I'm doing here and show people that keto performance is a real thing beyond simply just the science behind it. So, I'm going to show some of my personal techniques that I use in training. And keep in mind, I've been doing bodybuilding training since I was 16. Well, seriously, since I was 16. Before then, I started when I was 15, but just, doing the typical bro training style that a lot of people do. I'm 23 now. I just turned 23 a couple weeks ago. And basically, I have some experience under my belt with bodybuilding training. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I think it goes very hand in hand with keto dieting, especially because there's a lot of links between golden era bodybuilding and the low carb nutrition style, at the same time with a lot of their techniques, which I personally think are just a lot better than what you see being pushed on every other Instagram page nowadays. So if you want to learn quality bodybuilding techniques, that's what you're going to see in the rest of this video. But enough preamble, I'll just jump right into it. And you know what, I'll give you another little tip here for the people who really like, to know the ins and outs of very clean bodybuilding routines. So I do have a lot of supplements I use. I bounce around and experiment with a lot of things. I also work at a supplement store, so I get a lot of things for discounts, or sometimes, if a store closes or something, which one of the ones I worked at closed, so I got a lot of stuff for free. And I've also gotten other stuff for free because sometimes brands and companies will give you samples of things so you can, test them out and see if you like them and push them to people. That sounds pretty aggressive, but you know what I mean. So anyways, my favorite pre-workouts are always going to be naturally sweetened. This one is from a Canadian brand, Athletic Alliance, and it's one of the things I use, but it's higher caffeine. So I'm not going to go for anything higher stimulant because it's around 8 p.m. So I'm going to go for a moderate stimulant pre-workout and mostly focus on pump ingredients. So that's going to be, citrulline, arginine, and I'm going to focus more so on the workout performance rather than just getting jacked up mentally. Especially with keto dieting, your energy levels are generally always pretty good. So even though it's later in the day and I've worked all day long, basically, I still got good juice in the tank, but I'm trying to get a little more, a little bit of kick. I still like my caffeine. I'm an Italian guy, so I have espressos all the time. That's my, maybe if you're European watching this, which apparently some of my viewers are, you have your own, no matter what part of the world you're at, you have your own caffeine dosing, probably. So anyways, I'll get into the workout and, show you how I prepare for all that. The pre-workout I actually used today was this NutriPhase pre-train. Don't have any affiliations with any of these companies I'm showing you, but I'm showing you these things so you can see that cleaner products are generally going to be better. You'll never see me promote a dirty product in any way on my page unless I'm just showing you that I happen to have, a product that isn't as clean, but I don't mind using it for myself. I'll always let you know if I feel it's appropriate for me to advertise, because I'm always a big advocate of keeping it naturally sweetened. And you're going to want to watch out for artificial sweeteners, artificial dyes. Those things are not going to do well in your gut, and most of the time people on YouTube are just able to say, don't take this because it's bad. Well, the real bad thing is a lot of artificial colors act like estrogens in your body, and they're chemically similar to them. So you don't necessarily want them. Even if you're a woman, you don't want to mess with natural hormone levels, and for some reason they're allowed legally because the restrictions aren't too tight unless you live in certain parts of the world where they're restricted. Beyond that, I always try to keep stevia sweetened for the most part, and beyond that, I think I should get to the gym already. So one thing I don't always do, but today I felt like doing, was throwing in some exogenous ketones. So these are ketone salts. Now, you have to keep in mind that these are basically ketones with salts attached to them to lower their acidity so that they're able to be tolerated in the stomach. But even if you're not somebody eating a ketogenic diet, this is a great fuel source for your cells, particularly your mitochondria, which basically do all the work. They're the power plants of your cells. So it's a great fuel source regardless of what you eat. And overall, I just enjoy them. I enjoy the extra push of a ketogenic supplement with some training sessions, especially they're a vasodilator. They have other pump benefits, right? And because I'm not focusing too much on a high stimulant pre-workout at this time of night, it's useful to throw in with my pre-workout, which is in a pink bottle today, because why not? So that's just another little tip if you want some extra energy without having to sacrifice adding more stimulants into your pre-workout if you train in the evening time. But again, it has many uses besides just evening training and beyond just being swept aside for keto people only. So last thing I'll say is that my bag is pretty much a mini supplement shop. So you'll often hear me go through, and maybe if you guys want, I'll give some little reviews of certain supplements, even if I'm not taking them, or explaining the context behind which ones I'm using and why I'm making certain choices before certain workouts. Because sometimes I'll even, throw in a little bit of certain ingredients like citrulline, or perhaps some days I'll throw in a little bit more carnitine if it's more of a fat burning style routine that I'm trying to follow. But essentially, I have other videos on these topics, but as I'm going through, it's good to pick up little bits, and you can get the little breadcrumbs and then get the full meal in its own video. But I think it's time I go to the gym. So I hope you enjoyed the edit portion of the video. If you did, let me know. I'm dead serious about this, because making these edits and vlogs are definitely something that's a little bit more rewarding, and it does take a little bit more time. It's certainly a fun, creative expression for me, and if you like it, let me know, because I can make more of them, and it's very useful for me to know. And I'm experimenting with these longer form videos because I think they're a great platform to make little bits of nuggets of information come out at the same time I'm keeping things fun, entertaining, and joking around here and there. So beyond that, I'm going to break down my entire workout now and try to teach you some of the principles that I use when I train. Whether you're on a ketogenic metabolism or not, there's a lot of bodybuilding know-how that you can pick up from this. And if you're a beginner or something, let me know. If you're somebody who's experienced, I'd also like to know, because I'd like to know more about what you, the viewer who views my videos, is trying to learn or is trying to see from me. Damn. Beyond that, enjoy the workout breakdown. Okay, so this is going to be a long segment here, but if you're used to my videos anyways, that's generally what I do anyways, except now you have a visual to go along with what I'm saying. So this is obviously my warm-up. I normally grab dumbbells, but this time I'm just grabbing some plates, and I always warm up my shoulders, basically regardless of what I'm training, as long as it's upper body. So lightweight isolation exercises, and essentially stretching out the shoulder in multiple directions. So even you can see that I'm hanging from the pull-up bar there, and that's one way to stretch out. And then I also warm up the rotator cuff with those twisting exercises. And of course, then I also warm up the actual muscles that I'm working with lightweight, which is going to be the biceps. And I did a few more sets before I got into the big boy weight over here. But I jumped into a 55-pound dumbbell curl single arm. And basically, this is my heavier weight. I did warm up a little bit more with some light dumbbell exercises, but that's kind of pointless to show here. You get the point. And then I hopped into the heaviest weight that I do at first. And even if the form kind of struggles a bit, only doing weights that are heavy if you're able to handle them. So I can fully supinate my arms there, as you saw. Just took a second to adjust my camera, and then I'm back into it. And the moment my form starts to suffer, I switch to hammer curls, and then I drop the weight, because the form is key. You want to keep your elbows straight and tucked into your side, and then the shoulders down, really only using the shoulders to help out if it's towards the end and you're kind of cheating a bit. But if you're a newbie, I don't recommend doing that, because you could hurt your shoulder if you haven't adequately built up the muscles there, the stabilizer muscles. So I dropped the weight a bit, went from 55 to 40 and then 30, and then I immediately superset it with these tricep overhead extensions. Nothing wacky or crazy here, but 30 pounds single arm, and I generally do a couple sets of each of these exercises, but it's not about the exact numbers of repetitions or of sets that I'm doing here. The most important thing is the style of training that you'll see over this video, because I don't take many rests. I keep the pump going, but I still focus on hitting my heaviest weights in the beginning. So kind of that's referred to as reverse pyramid style. But for me, the most important principles of bodybuilding are these two right here: progressive strength increase and time under tension. So that's what I prioritize with all of my sessions. So I actually went back to the heavier weight, the 55-pound dumbbell curls. I did that for around 3 or 4 sets, and slow on the way down and powerful on the way up. That's the key, because if you're just jerking the weight, you're going to hurt yourself, and also you're going to develop less muscle. I find that whenever my form starts to suffer with the supinated curls, so twisting of the arm, I'll switch to a hammer curl and hit it from a slightly different angle, because I don't want to force bad formed repetitions after I've gotten to the point where my bicep is giving out. So you can see that I start to struggle a little bit there and cheat on a rep or two, maybe use a little bit of momentum, but the most important thing is that the form is proper. And if it does start to suffer, swap the angle and keep going. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to push for the heaviest weights all the time. As you can see, I'm dropping it right here, and I just continue to go. I dropped it by 15 pounds. I'm now curling the 40s, and I just keep going with as many repetitions as I can. Generally between 8 to 12 is what I shoot for. That's the bodybuilding hypertrophy range of reps, so in order to gain muscle. But like I said, focus on the fact that I'm keeping the weight strong, but every time it gets to the point where I can't do any more, I drop it and I keep that tension going. So I'm doing the same with the 30-pound dumbbells here. So that's a significant drop, almost 50% basically, and still focusing on the supination up top. That's going to build the round head of your bicep. And then I believe I'm done at this point. Yep, so I probably did some of the triceps before going back into this, but this is the absolute failure set, where you can see I really struggle on that rep with the 55-pound dumbbell curl on my 4th set, I believe. So again, I switched to hammer curls. The form is definitely sloppier here, but things can get messy. And like I said, if you're new to the gym, do not do this, because you need to adequately build up the shoulder muscles and stabilizer muscles, or else you could hurt yourself or impinge your shoulder basically if you're using it for some momentum. So generally, yes, still go to failure area. If you don't have to fully hit failure, but still push for that hypertrophy, and then drop the weight when it gets too intense to the point where your form suffers. So here are some other exercises I threw in. I literally did another 2 or 3 sets of each of these exercises, because I really believe in high volume training. So lots of reps, lots of sets at moderate and heavy weight. So I wanted to focus on this one here, the Zottman curl. This is a different bicep exercise not many people are aware of. It's a golden era bicep technique, and you basically will contract and extend your bicep while you're turning it in a different direction. So it's going to build more around the lower part of the bicep, and it's just an exercise I like for mobility in the elbow. And now I'm switching, I guess, to some more overhead tricep extensions. So you can see that I extend my lat fully when I lift my arm up, and you want to keep your shoulder completely still and extend the lat so you can basically solely isolate the tricep. And then I superset that with some bicep curls. Again, the form is self-explanatory, but lower weight. Now you're going to start seeing that I'm using a lot lower weight for my biceps because I've already hit the biggest and basically the highest risk weight in the beginning when I'm fresh. So then I moved over to a double-armed 70-pound overhead extension. Nothing too crazy, but I went for a lot of repetitions there, probably in excess of 10, and then I did it individually, drop set right after, because you really have to focus on that time under tension. So here's the thing too, like I said, I'm focusing a lot on time under tension, but you have to realize as a bodybuilder or someone doing bodybuilding style training, you have to keep flushing the blood into your muscle in order to break it down. And what happens is you're going to build up lactic acid in your muscles. So basically your body can turn that lactic acid into fuel for your brain through something called the Cori cycle. But as far as it concerns bodybuilders, people who do just strength training, which is, focusing on 1 or 2 rep maxes, are going to build up less lactic acid, but more strength. So essentially you want to do what I'm doing here, which is continuously flushing, creating more lactic acid, because your lactate threshold of your muscles is going to expand. And that is typically what actually drives muscle growth, because your muscle is growing to physically adapt to how much lactic acid was in there, in addition to breaking down the fibers and, refueling, regrowing appropriately. So I'm in the cage at this point. That's what we call this thing, the cage. And I do this on almost every arm day. So you got to realize that arm day is dessert day for me. So I just go nuts and just have fun with it. So I'm not necessarily, trying to hit a certain number, but I'm going in and doing these supersets of a lot of exercises, because then I can hit biceps, triceps one after another and build up that lactate threshold. That's what you want to expand. So another thing that's great for building up the lactate threshold is what I'm doing right here, which is using some sort of resistance exercise. So the angle is slightly different, and I'm building up basically more lactic acid because there's constant resistance on any of these exercises. As you saw in those curling exercises, they're attached to the pulley. So there's tension the whole time, unlike on this preacher curl where the tension is basically just gravity. So of course I'm trying to go slow on the way down. It's a little bit harder to tell because I've sped up the footage, but my cadence is the same on the way up and the way down. So I had some 60-pound barbell curls with the pronated grip and then also with a standard grip, and I just keep going. I kept the footage long form here, all one take, because I want you to see how minimal rest I take. And maybe I'll throw in a little compound exercise here and there and stretch a bit. This is, again, my arm day, so I'm only hitting isolations. It is more of a bro workout because I'm not doing any compounds. But what I am focusing on here is slightly different angles of the same exercises. As you'll see, even just I changed my posture there. It's a slightly different angle for the triceps. And when you look at all the other exercises I'm doing, it looks like I'm just doing curls and tricep extensions the whole time, but the angles are always slightly different. And then again, I'll hit the same and different angles with slightly different weights at lower intensity. And there's a quote one of my friends who's a bodybuilder in New Zealand said, is that bodybuilding is all about angles. That's how you're going to build your physique. And again, keep in mind the principles I said here. So here's my physique update. And remember, I eat fully ketogenic and didn't eat any carbs before this workout. The only carbs I eat are green vegetables, but people seem to believe that you won't have any carb energy or glycogen in your muscles if you eat keto. And that's completely wrong. However, it is true for the first few weeks of a keto diet. Absolutely. You won't have any carb energy because your body's still getting adapted. But after that point, your body will get better at making its own carbohydrate energy and putting it into your muscles through a process called gluconeogenesis. Basically, your body makes that carb energy and puts it into your muscles from excess protein and fats. And after that point, you're able to do very high volume workouts like the one I just showed you. I'm a 23-year-old, just turned 23, natural bodybuilder, and pretty lean body fat percentage, 9 or 10%, and 170 some odd pounds. And I'm having a great time with high repetitions, good strength. Some would even say impressive strength on a lot of isolation lifts, and I don't eat carbs at all. But keep in mind, I'm very adapted, but this is something that you can absolutely achieve if you get to such a point of adaptation. All right, so I finished up my workout. That's how I like to train arms. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, and hopefully you enjoyed the edit. I plan on making more of those, just that they take a little bit more time. And overall, I want to hear what you guys want to see. I know that vlog footage and showing practical applications of what I preach is in demand, so I will show you that. Threw in the physique update as well, mainly because it's a buzz term that's going to get me more clicks, and also because I want to show and document what you can do with a ketogenic lifestyle. Doesn't mean you have to go all the way. Perhaps I would like to get people watching this who don't even subscribe to ketogenic dieting regime, but for me, I know that it's going to be a staple of whatever diet I do. And that's the thing, it doesn't have to be as big of a commitment. It can be hopping in and out of ketosis. There's plenty of benefits that come from it. Mental clarity, endurance lasting you all day long, because hitting a workout in the evening after working all day long and then going home and editing a video is pretty taxing. And if you don't have the proper clarity of mind to do it, it can be pretty taxing. So overall, there's many benefits to ketogenic style of eating, and it's definitely a lot more conducive for bodybuilding and physical training than it gets a rap for. As I've said in many of my videos, most of these studies on keto training come from non-adapted individuals, which is a problem because, of course, somebody who isn't adapted is going to have negative performance. You're going to want to look at the people who are adapted, and that's why I'm trying to make a push for putting out more of such studies, because I myself am a testament to the power of such a diet and how it can be useful for you. Too many people like to identify with their diets. A diet should serve you, and it should be something that has unique benefits to how you like to live your life. That's it. So last note that I'm going to make here is, if any of you know me personally, you know that I listen to a lot of audiobooks. This is basically the drive home. So I showed you the drive over, which is, me getting amped up, listening to a lot of music. I think music is fantastic for... Oh, hold on, I'm going to drive in front of a food truck here. Whoops. Sorry, buddy. Driving like an asshole. So basically, I really believe in audiobooks, and I don't have a sponsorship for it, but eventually, when I get my channel to a point where I'm able to get a sponsorship from Audible, I will wholeheartedly sell out on Audible, because I absolutely love that book service. I'm the only guy who is promoting Audible after having given them a shitload of my money and not receiving any from them. So absolutely love Audible. Fantastic, because a lot of people listen to podcasts, okay? And podcasts are great, but with books, the content is so much more concise, and you're getting a precise message. And even though you can learn little nuggets in a podcast, audiobooks are going to be very, very precise with a desired area that you'd like to learn about. So here's a book I have just starting up.
Nowadays. Type of salt, black and red Hawaiian sea salts.
So in general, I listen to these things whenever I'm driving anywhere. And although the pre-workout vibe is completely different, I'm always listening to something. And because a lot of you have asked how I do my research for a lot of these things, I try to pick very good books and absolutely crush them. This is how you're going to get through the most content, and even if you have to go back and brush up, it's just fantastic, and you know that you have a body of work, a body of literature that is heavily directed at a certain specific topic, and that's how you're going to learn. That's exactly what you're doing by watching my videos, is because you know every move is calculated. Every tangent is going to deliver something for you. Like this one, even though it took an extra minute and it took me cutting in front of a delivery truck with a little bit of delays in between, but it was fun. At least it was fun for me. But the point is, audiobooks are fantastic if you want to learn even more, because even though I preach a lot of health practices on my page, you are your biggest health advocate, and you have to... Oh, hold on. Is that a rabbit? Nope. Basically, you have to watch out for yourself and doctor yourself more than anybody else, because no matter what happens in the world, even though there's plenty of people out there who will always know more than you or I, you have to be your biggest health advocate. So dedicate yourself to learning as much as you can. That's what I live by personally. So use everybody out here as a reference for yourself, and think about what we all say, think about myself, think about the other sources, consider it, and question everything that I or any other source tell you. And even though I like to think that I'm very reputable, you always have to question these things. So you can always learn more, and if you learn more by downloading audiobooks, in addition to something better than just podcasts and whatnot, which are great, I love podcasts, and I still listen to them all the time, audiobooks is the step up. It truly is. Go get them. And the more you read on them, the more you'll listen to the conflicting viewpoints. And when you learn more about the conflicting viewpoints, that's when you're truly going to learn about a topic, because you have to hear both sides of the arguments and all the different variants of those arguments in order to truly educate yourself so you can think about these topics on a deep nature. Rant over. Okay, so that was my arm day. Hope you enjoyed it. That was meant to be a clinic of bodybuilding principles for an isolation-based arm day. And overall, I try to change it up. I try to be different. It's not just the same video on YouTube where it's like, do this for this many times and this many sets. I want to show you the principles that actually cause muscle growth and a change in your physique. Not just this times that, do it, like this, whatever. It's about intensity. You have to bring that passion. If you get some good music, you get it. It's an experience. Training is an experience. It's not just you go there, show up, and do X reps of X. You have to be in it. And this hopefully gave you some insight to that, and hopefully a wealth of other things. Thanks again, Anthony Romano. Make sure to subscribe. Go to my website if you want keto coaching, and leave me comments on what you want me to show you with bodybuilding, with keto dieting, and I have plenty of other videos that can inform you on either of those things. Thanks again. Peace.